Good afternoon. You well?
All good, thank you.
All good. It's Leeds against Tottenham. It's you against Thomas Frank, and a rivalry that's lent very well in your direction in recent years, hasn't it? When you've been at Norwich and he's been at Brentford, I think you've won 3 and drawn 2. So you seem to have the sign over Thomas.
Well, first of all, it's definitely Leeds against Tottenham. It's a players' game and not a manager's game. And we know each other since a very long time right now. Started also like when I was in Norwich and he was at Brentford on championship level. So we rate each other. So I rate him so much, not just as a manager, but also as a human being that he is. And just have to give proper praise to him. So for me, the quality of the coach is always defined over what you do in the mid and the long term. Quality manager is for me never after a couple of good months or perhaps one good season. You have to show this with consistency, and this is what Thomas has done over the past years. He was unbelievably successful at Brentford, has helped to establish them on Premier League level, and right now also a positive start in Tottenham. And it's always great to see Thomas back. On the other hand, never easy, although had good results. Yes, that's right. But so his teams are always, they are well structured, well managed and coached, and for that you have to be spot on in what you're doing. So I'm looking forward to see him again, because it's always great to have some time with him. But the major topic is we want to be prepared in order to be successful.
You've got 8 points, and it could very easily have been 10. How big an incentive is it? I mean, I know it's only early days, but if you were to get a result at the weekend, you could go into the international break in the top half of the table. I mean, that is just a wonderful prospect, isn't it, for you?
The start was good, and what I like about our start so far in terms of performances, we have not one point lucky, but we have also, I would say, lost 3 points very, very unlucky. So could be easily even on 10 or 11 points, if I'm honest, and then we would not just be talk of the town, but also talk of the country, if I'm honest. But sometimes it's also a bit healthy for this emotional club that we are not right now currently sitting in a position where, for example, Tottenham is right now with 11 points. To fly a bit under the radar, because I know here everyone who is connected with Leeds United can be over the moon pretty quickly. It's good that we had such a positive start, performance-wise, also result-wise, but it's a long road, and we have to make sure that even we deliver with consistency further on, and we need to win many more points in order to achieve our target, because yes, with just 8 points we won't be allowed to stay in this league, so we have to keep going.
And we always look at the promoted sides and say, well, they'll be in their own little mini league, probably down near the bottom. How encouraged are you that you're getting results not just against teams down at the bottom, but the Bournemouths, the Newcastle, the Everton? You're getting results against some of the teams a lot higher up. How encouraged are you by that?
It's a good sign, and also good for the confidence. Also for the confidence of my players. They see where we play and against who we play, we always have a chance. So we are there with tight games against each and every opponent. If it's an away game, if it's a home game, and of course, especially at Elland Road, we know that we can win against each and every team. But also in the away games, we had some really good performance. And I know the result against Arsenal was perhaps the only game that was a bit more clearer, but also didn't felt that uncomfortable on the pitch. So Arsenal on a good day, they can be pretty effective. Yes, and I've watched many of their home games as well, and I think we have allowed them to have just one corner each halftime, and they scored out of each and every corner, and then you can also lose a game against Arsenal. So even against the top sides, we have a chance, and this is always a good sign, and also good for the self-confidence of my players in newly promoted side, and each and every good result is important there.
And how's your team news? Any people back? Anybody missing?
Mixed news, a few negative news. I have to confirm that Daniel James will be out for a few weeks. He sadly has rolled his ankle in training, so the doctors say he's likely out to 4 to 6 weeks. So that means realistically we would just expect him back after the more or less November international break. If he would be there, perhaps available even before for 1 or 2 games, would be a nice little bonus and a surprise. But he's definitely out for a few weeks. That's of course not great news. Willy Gnonto will also miss this game. His calf problems are not sorted. He's not back in team training, and for that, there's no chance to involve him also for the game. So he will also sadly just be back after this upcoming international break, so not available for this Tottenham fixture. Few question marks behind Harry Gray, because he reported right now in training after he played the game on Monday some problems with his hip flexor. Not sure at the moment if he will make it to be ready and available also for the call up on Saturday. So a few problems. Some good news is that Lucas Perry right now is back in team training since literally since yesterday. That's definitely good news. So it's too early to involve him for this game, but I think then also the international break will be beneficial. We have 2 more weeks of training, and I expect him on the other side of the international break then also to be available for our games. So some good news with him.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hi, Daniel.
Adam, hi.
So with obviously Dan James and Willy Gnonto out, then the pressure on somebody like Jack Harrison must be quite intense for him to step up now and keep, Brendan and Noah under some pressure themselves.
Yes, the pressure, but you could also speak about the possibilities, because I have not allowed Jack so far to start a game, at least not in the league. But I have to say that I'm always happy with his performance when he came, and also the last game anyhow. So he helped Gabi Gudmundsson a lot to defend. Nothing was created over their side, and he looked also sharp in terms of going forward. Yes, Noah Okafor had also good performances, a great goal against Wolves. So I'm quite happy with my options also on this side. And of course, I would prefer to have Willy and DJ also available for the option on the right side. But I also have to say that Brendan Aronson has delivered really good performances, especially in the last game. His work rate is never in doubt, but he has also created a few good chances anyhow. And overall, so my offensive players have stepped up. In the last, especially in the last couple of games, we scored 5 goals in the last 2 games, and we looked really like we could score more or less in each every moment. Should have scored perhaps even a few more. So overall, of course, I would prefer to have DJ and also Willy available. Also, then Harry top fit anyhow. But yes, we have also not seen some of our offensive players, Joel Pirot in the last games. Lucas Matcher was also not too much on the pitch, so we still have options. And for that, I also believe that with the players who are available, we have also a chance to win something on Saturday.
When both Sean Longstaff and Anton Stacker are on the pitch together, what's the deciding factor when it comes to taking set pieces? Because obviously Sean was on them at the weekend.
A good quality delivery is always crucial. Naturally, you would say that, of course, Sean is perhaps not there with the height of Anton. You would like to have him also like in the center in order to attack the ball. But it always depends a bit on who is comfortable, really, like in terms of in-swingers, out-swingers. They have a bit different technique. Sean was really good also in the last games with his deliveries. I think normally he's then also quite often really there, but we want to stay flexible. Anton gives us a bit different dimension also with his delivery, and he has also a really good set piece. So I'm happy that both of them can take one.
I know hindsight's a perfect thing, but there's this sort of unwritten rule in football, if there is one, that you don't make a substitute during a set piece. So when Dominic Calvert-Lewin came off the other day, what's the reasoning behind that? And is there such a rule for a coach?
Yes, but you always have to decide in the moment. So in this situation, in general, the thinking behind the substitutions was so good in the back four, centre backs, full backs, didn't allow any chances apart from this free kick, where they had nothing to do with it in the first half, so couldn't take any one of our back four out. Also in central midfield, Isna Badu, our captain, Sean Longstaff, unbelievable performance. Anton Stach, you also don't want to take them off, especially Anton also with his height anyhow. So just in case you have to defend pretty late, perhaps a long ball or a set piece, so you can't substitute there. So for that, it was the case that for me it was clear that if we want to substitute, then definitely in the offensive positions. And of course, we wanted then to be in lead, also to use our 3 opportunities to then also calm the game a bit down, give also a bit time to breathe, because of course in the last minutes we were a bit under pressure. I think that's just important. So the substitutions were quite natural. It's more or less like, once Noah Okafor got a bit tired, and brought Jack Harrison in, and he has delivered really well. For me, it was also clear that then also for Dominic, Lucas would come in also to replace him 1-against-1. There's always a bit one thought in your head as a manager: if you would be too much under pressure and, let's say, cross after cross or set piece after set piece comes in, do you bring one more defensive thinking player in, perhaps change to 5 at the back, a centre back like Jakabiol, for example? But I didn't have the feeling it was this type of game where we were under pressure. I didn't want to disrupt our structure, and for that I wanted to replace a striker also with a striker, not just to set a sign, oh no, right now we just have to defend. I didn't want to give the wrong messages. And normally I never ever substitute once the opponent has got the ball. Never ever with a free kick or corner kick or throw in. But in this situation, the feeling was we were a bit hectic. We had an unnecessary loss of the ball. Ethan Ampadu came out, put the ball away, slipped away, get a yellow card. I was thinking, listen, there's just one free kick to defend. I have to substitute right now to give everyone the time also like to take a breath, to regroup. And it's also like Lucas Metzger has the same skills like Dominic, very physical, also really good in terms of defending the header. So I don't have to change anything in our setup, but we can make sure that everyone is really ready to defend this, because it's just one long ball we have to defend. And for that, I wanted us to give us a break, because we looked a bit tired and a bit hectic in this moment. And for that, I want to use the situation. Yes, then we conceded the goal. You never know if it would be different, if I would have done something different. But if I'm honest, also Dominic's position was more or less on the far post against their strong headers. The ball came in. Lucas has exactly overtaken his position, was not involved at all. So we lost, sadly, the header in a central position. Our best defensive header, sadly, lost then the header. And on the other side, where they were speculating on the far post, this was the problem. We didn't drop quick enough anyhow, and we were there not aware. So the position of Dominic and Lucas doesn't change. It has no effect. So I'm not sure if something different would have happened with Dominic on the pitch. I would doubt this. Yeah, but we never know. So if we could replay it anyhow, then I would of course do it in a perhaps different way anyhow, because we've conceded the goal in the scene. But you have to decide in the moment, and the feeling was, no, we need to. He was already waiting since 2 minutes. I also was not expecting that we give the ball so unnecessary away and we would cause a set piece. And then there was a decision to make. Either we don't use this situation, perhaps there is no other opportunity for the third substitutions to calm the game a bit down. And the feeling was before the free kick, it was a bit too hectic. Want to give them a bit more time. Yeah, but sadly it was probably not enough in order to avoid this goal. So of course, a bit disappointing outcome.
Nonetheless, it's a great performance, deserve more, and you take it into this Spurs game. You talked about Thomas Frank and measuring him medium and long term. But in the, 10 games he's been at Spurs, what have you identified where he's made them different to what's gone on before?
His handwriting, his mentality, also the intensity the team plays with, always well-structured, strong also against the ball. They play and press with intensity. They always threaten the death with many runnings in behind. His style of play, also of course the detailed set pieces, attention to throw-ins, all these topics are of course important for Thomas, and for me also the mentality to grind out results, because if you play all 3 days, of course you have to rotate a bit more than you would do if you just have one game per week. But they're playing in Europe and they have of course to rotate a bit more. Of course they have also the squad and the quality players to do this. So sometimes it's also a bit difficult then to be always there with a totally spotlight performance. But even when it's a bit more difficult, when they rotate, they still found a way in the last games to dig in and to grind out a result. And this is also the mentality that Thomas brings into his teams. They always are pretty effective and also find pragmatic solutions to grind out results. And for that, we always have to be aware, even if you're against his sides on top of the game, they can always come back and deliver a late goal. And this is also a sign of his handwriting. His team is always fit, shows a good mentality, shows a good spirit. And this comes totally down to Thomas. And this is why it's always so difficult to get a result against his sides.
What did you learn from that performance in Norway on Tuesday that you can take into this game at the weekend, maybe?
From their performance in Bodo Glimt, not too much anyhow, because I've also watched many games before. So this game, again, what I spoke about, that although Bodo was in some or major spells, also perhaps a bit on the front foot, that Tottenham has also the quality and also the mentality to score in each and every situation, out of set piece, out of counter-attacks, or once they're under pressure, also with a late goal. They have also depth in their squad. There's still 2 or 3 players missing with injuries, but they still have top quality players who were thrown into the mix during the game. Rested perhaps even also in this game a few of their star players. Anyhow, I think probably a player like Kudus will probably also start against us, or Doji, and top players were also rested. And although they rotated a bit also for this game, they still found a way to get important point for them. So on the top level, on Champions League level. So nothing new what I've not seen before, and nothing too special what I don't know about Thomas teams before. But another sign why, even if they don't have perhaps their most standout performance, why it's so difficult to get results against one of Thomas' sides. And yeah, for that we have to be at our best at the weekend.
Given the distance that they've had to travel since Tuesday, well, before that to get out there as well, and last season's results after Champions League games, or European games, I should say, for Tottenham, can you take advantage of that? Is there an advantage for you, do you feel, going into this one, with it being the first kick-off as well?
I don't think so, because nowadays you don't travel with a bicycle or with a ship or with a coach, and they have their private jets, and so it shouldn't be too uncomfortable. So no, when the air hostess brings in sometimes a nice orange juice and a coffee, and it's not too worse. So believe me. So it's not like in my generation, where the travel was horrendous. They could even sleep. They have their chefs there around, and so the travel is not to be blamed. It could be tricky sometimes when you just have, let's say, from Wednesday night till Saturday early kickoff. That's tricky. So from Tuesday, I wouldn't expect anything. I also expect that he will also bring some fresh legs on the pitch. Yes, of course, in terms of preparation during the week, training sessions, they didn't have too many training sessions to prepare for us. But I'm also sure that for a newly promoted side, a team who is playing on Champions League level, so they wouldn't take too much attention anyway, of course, in a professional way, but it's also like they are more concentrated on what they do on the pitch. So for that, I don't think that this travel is too much of an advantage of us. If it comes like this, and this is the reason I also take it, I wouldn't complain about it, but I don't expect us to have an advantage.
Hi, Daniel. Gabby Goodmanson said this week that after what happened at Fulham, he says he's always focused for every game, obviously, but the Wolves game had that little bit extra for him. He really, really wanted to win that one. Do you ever sense it in training that a player has maybe a little bit more riding on a game coming up? Think about a player like Joe Rodon coming up against Spurs.
Yes, sometimes you sense it. I'm not sure if it's always a good sign. So sometimes you can also be a bit over-motivated, or you want to do something extraordinary on the pitch. And this is also sometimes an explanation why, for example, a substitute who comes in is a bit over-motivated to show then in the last minutes his quality, and is also sometimes there with a mistake. So sometimes you also have to calm the players down a little bit, and also after incidents with Gabi, to put an arm around his shoulder and also to give him the message, listen, you don't have to save the world in the next game and have to win the game all alone. This is what I did before the Wolves game, but you can't take it away that, of course, the player wants to deliver a really good performance in the next game. And thank God he has also such a character that he was highly motivated but not nervous or over-motivated, and delivered also their top-class performance, and the same also against Bournemouth. Credit to what he's done so far during the season. I think Gabi is excellent so far, and this also is a sign of, listen, we always win together, we lose together. And of course, sometimes the player is a bit in the spotlight in the positive way. Yeah, and sometimes also in a bit unlucky way, anyhow. But this is not like we overinterpret this or go too much into individual judgment. It's more or less like, yeah, we stick together in this moments, and sometimes you also have to make sure that they're not over motivated when it comes down to a pretty special occasion. Yeah.
Jaka Biel's national team manager was talking this week about him not playing at Leeds, and he pretty much repeated word for word what you said about why Jaka's not been in the team. Do you have much of a relationship with international managers, or is it useful for you to discuss with them what's going on with your players?
It depends. So with some you have a bit less, with some you have a bit more. Obviously, with Craig Bellamy, I've got lots of not lots of discussions. Anyhow, he also leaves me in peace, and I leave him. But if there is something urgent, I have half of the Wales squad with me here, so normally I could travel with them in order to assist him a little bit as his assistant coach. So there's quite naturally that you then speak a bit more. But I think to all of the managers, we've got a good understanding, and also the words of Jaka's manager show also like the understanding between the managers. I think this is quite normal, and also how you judge, and as a manager, as a head coach, a bit also the games and the things in the same way. And I would never ever, of course, I'm concentrated to have my national team players ready for our games, but I would also never insist too much in order to rest them during the international games, because they have also their needs and their demands and their challenges, and want to play them. I have also lots of understanding, to play players and not to rest them just for the club team. So for that, also not too much advice from my side to what they do, and I think there's a mutual respect also on the other side. And for that, I think the relationship normally between the club managers and the managers of the national team is quite good, and it should be quite good. Yes.
Hi, Daniel. Talking about Welsh players, Joe Rodon, when I spoke to him before the season started, he said that in the back of his mind he actually thinks he has a point to prove in the Premier League after his time at Spurs, where he didn't play too much in the Premier League. Does he have something to prove, and have you sensed that feeling from him yourself?
Yes, if it's his opinion, then he should be also right. I can't tell, no, Joe, you don't have anything to prove. It's not like he has already 200 Premier League games under his belt, or has performed and excelled on this level, outstanding over years. Of course, it's a bit naturally a bit more difficult to come into a side. Tottenham, when they signed him, they were more or less playing the Champions League final anyhow, so or at least not too long after it. So of course, it's naturally a bit more difficult perhaps to come as a relatively young centre-back who was signed from the Championship straight away into the starting lineup. Meanwhile, he's much more mature. He's grown also as a player, also as a person with his personality. I think he's a way better player than he was perhaps 3 years ago. And for that, I think he has proven in the first games that even on this level he can perform on a top level. But again, also the message to show this with consistency, not just over a few weeks, a few months. It's important to show this over a whole course of the season. This is more or less also the challenge for Joe right now. So far, so good. I think he has played excellent so far. Also like that he adds more and more to be a goal threat, also in terms of set pieces, something I've always moaned about, and it was on his back anyhow a little bit to score more goals. A player of his strength with that, he should do this a bit more, and he's threatening the opponent's goal more and more in the last weeks and months. I have to say, he develops also in this terms. There's always space for improvement, but he's on a good path also to prove his point. Yes.
Obviously, you know someone quite well from Tottenham on the other team, in Archie Gray. What do you make of his progress at Tottenham, and what was he like to work with?
I don't like to speak too much about players who are under contract for other teams, and especially not to judge their time there or to give advice or to give some ratings or whatever. I never do this because I wouldn't expect any other manager to speak about my players and our players. So for that, I also totally respect this. So for that, I just can speak about the time I had with Archie, and just can say it was a joy for me to work with him each and every day. Joy to watch this young man to develop. So I played him at the age of 17 years old, more or less in each every game. I played him ahead of our vice captain Luke Ayling on his position. Was not easy, and also like for the dressing room, of course, Luke, fantastic character, fantastic leader of the team, and then a 17-year-old with consistency to play it ahead of him. So sometimes tricky decision for a manager. I played him in the heart of the game, ahead of proven players like Glenn Kamara at times, anyhow. So also as a 17-year-old, consistency, he played more or less each and every game. But I just had the feeling he's ready. So it's not like you always have this, that a young player in the age of 17 is ready physically and mentally also to handle the pressure and to be ready to run the game for you in central positions when you have the pressure more or less to win each every game. But he was capable to do this, and you could see him more or less growing and developing each every day. Was due to his character. He was always willing to improve, always asking for advice, always asking for recommendation, doing additional work physically on a top level. And if you have then this potential and also the mentality to want to develop, then you will come fine on the mid and long term. And I'm pretty sure you will also have on the mid and long term a really, really good future and a great career.
Is surgery a possibility for Willie? Has that calf issue lasted a bit longer than you might have expected initially?
No, just a calf strain, so no surgery anyhow. So we're hoping to have him fit for this game, but he's still feeling it a little bit, so it's progressing. So I'm pretty sure he will be back in team training. Yeah, definitely in the next week, and should be too much of a problem.
It's clear how well Dominic and Lucas are both doing for you at the head of the attack, and it's not lost on anybody that Joel, phenomenal goal scorer for you, clearly hasn't been that involved. When it's clear how a certain profile of striker is working for you in your system, I think most of us would agree Joel's a slightly different kind of striker. In training with Joel, do you sort of have to find a way to keep him believing he's going to get back in the team and play in that role for you where his attributes may not suit the other two?
Yes, it's always difficult if you had such an outstanding last season. Everyone is more or less, at least each second game, they're singing your name and you win the Golden Boot and you are more or less the main man for us in our offense. You start the season, had a great preseason, also in the starting lineup against Everton, also second game anyhow. Then also to have a period when he perhaps doesn't play that many minutes, or in the last two games, not 1 minute, was one time even not in the squad. Of course, it's tough, especially when you have a player like Joel who is giving his everything, who has worked on his fitness level a lot, who is a top class character, who is, for me, the best finisher I've ever worked with, and I have some good finishers. But if you want to have a player with the ball in front of his feet out of 20 yards, then I would always go for Joel Pirot, because he's an unbelievable finisher and in this terms really, really world class. But on this level, you have to accept that we can't always play in the striker position that dominant, that we always create situations when you come into finishing positions. Sometimes also a bit different skills are asked for, and also in the last games it was a bit more that a few other skills were what we needed a bit more in the games in order to be then also effective as a team. And for that it was then a bit also difficult, of course, for Joel, more or less like that perhaps his skills were not the most in-demand skills, and of course it's difficult because we can't tell him out of him so to become a completely different player. And I don't want this, because I want him exactly in this way. He's more a player who's not like the physical target striker where you play the ball in and he holds the ball. He's smart in his movements. When there is a bit more space, he can also play as a number 10 pass. Sometimes he can play behind one striker who creates a bit space, and then he goes into the holes and finishes anyhow. So I'm 100% sure that during the season also the skills and what we the strength of Joel Pirot are also needed, definitely also needed. But it's also like to accept a professional football on the highest level, that it's not in each every game the case. Yes, the best thing is also to be honest and to explain it in this way, and then the players have to accept it. It's also like, it's professional football, they are leading a privileged life, they're earning lots of money. This is what they have to accept sometimes. So we have good Premier League squads, we all wanted to play on the top level, and then you have to accept that there is competition. Yes, of course, for each every player it's a bit easier to play perhaps in League 2 anyhow, to play each every minute, but yes, if you are in a Premier League squad, then there is competition, and this is what you have to accept. And I have to say, so my valuation and my importance of Joel for our team has not dropped 1%. He's pretty important in my plans, and it's so great to work with him. He's still a great character. His behavior is top professional, top class, so it should be as well. So if he runs around right now moody or feeling sorry for himself or angry, it won't help him. So what should I do? Just because he would be sorry for himself or angry, do you think I would think then, oh, right now he's angry and sorry for himself, I better play him? No, it doesn't work in this way. So make sure you train professional, you prepare professional, you impress the manager in each every training session. And this is what he tries to do in each every session. And I'm pretty sure that we'll also see him in many occasions also on the pitch. And then hopefully he can also deliver.
Thank you. Mark, have you got anything before we go to embargo? No. So we'll go to embargo section.